pandemic. So in other words, they are not supposed to be reporting to the school. So what we did was, in my letter to the school's division superintendent, I requested that we ask the approval from the regional director for the teachers to report the school for 5 consecutive Tuesdays, starting last November, and then we ended sometime in December 15, if I'm not mistaken. So the superintendent approved the letter. She forwarded it to the regional director, and then it was returned to me. Therefore, the proposal was implemented. And then after that, of course, there is this what we call the implementation report. So as you can see here, the problem was identified. What's the problem? It is school beautification or school improvement. So after that, we have the carefully studying or understanding the problem. What resulted to that? So the lockdown. There are no students to help in the maintenance of the garden. Now, since most of the plants died, they have to be replaced. And what are the resources needed? Of course, we have to buy ornamental plants. Now, in that particular portion, if we are going to buy the bouquet, also very expensive. So we resorted to having the students donate, and considering that we have in the junior high school, we have more than 4,000 students. Even if there will be one half of them who will donate, then there will be a lot of plants already. So we have the resources. Now we already have the resources. We now have this particular problem. Who will implement the project? That is why we tapped the teachers. But before doing that, we have to ask approval from the higher authorities through communications with the school head, who endorsed the letter to the school's division superintendent, and then the division superintendent endorsed the letter to the regional director. So the project was implemented, and of course, after that, as to the evaluation, it can be seen through the pictures in the implementation report that the project really succeeded. Now, in the communication letter, since it has to be evidence-based problem solving, I also included there the pictures of the gardens, which were already barren because most of the plants were already dead, and of course the appearance of the entire area, which really needs improvement. So in that particular situation, we applied evidence-based problem solving and decision making. Of course, when the division superintendent approved my letter, it was based on the evidences that I attached to the letter, the pictures, and of course the text also, text and piece. Okay, so that's it. Next, we also have types of decisions. Whenever we as managers or leaders make decisions, these particular decisions fall under categories. We have here 3. We have structured. We have first unstructured, structured, and then semi-structured. Now, when we say unstructured decisions, these are made by senior management, the top executives. It is a non-routine type of decision. There's no specific procedure or structure for decision making. And it includes strategic issues and long-term effect of decision. So I believe we have already this particular type of decision. The routine type was already mentioned by the previous speakers. So by the word itself, as the name suggests, routine, meaning these are the ordinary day-to-day types of decisions. But when you say non-routine, of course, exactly the opposite. Alright. When we say structured decisions, these are made by operational managers. In our lesson 1 in the course EDM317, we have their topic regarding types of managers or level of management. So we have the executive, we have the middle level managers, and then we also have the operational. first line or frontline managers, supervisors, team leaders, or team facilitators. So structured decisions are repetitive and non-routine type of decision also. Okay. These are specific structures and procedures for solving a problem and decision making, and it involves operational issues and has a very short time set. When we say semi-structured, these are decisions made by middle management or the middle level managers. When we say middle level managers, these are the intermediate management level of a hierarchical organization. It is subordinate to the executive management. What do they usually do? They are the ones responsible for team leading line managers or specialist line managers. They are directly responsible for junior staff performance and productivity. So that's a structured decision. Semi-structured decision, on the other hand, are made by middle management. Okay? And it is both routine and non-routine. It usually gives a clear-cut solution of a problem, and it is both structured and unstructured procedure or decision making. Now let us look into the types of decisions as performed by these particular levels of management. So you can see here in this particular figure on the left portion we have the types of decisions. In the middle portion we have the level of management or the types of managers. And on the right portion, we have here samples of their functions or tasks that they perform or decisions that they perform. So as to the unstructured decisions, these are being performed as what I had said a while ago by senior managers, and samples of these decisions is decide the entrance or exit of a particular employee from the organization. Another one is approve capital or budget. And then we also have decide long-term goals. So the senior managers, this includes the executives, the board of directors, the CEO, the president. The next kind of decision, we have the semi-structured, as I mentioned a while back. It is performed by middle managers. And examples of these are design marketing plan. The other one, develop departmental budget. And of course, design a new corporate website if it is in the field of information technology or let's say IT. And of course, we also have the structured type of decision. It is performed by operational management, individual employees, and teams. Samples of decisions being made: determine overtime eligibility, restock inventory, offer credit to customers, and determine special offers to customers. So that's the clear, let's say, illustration of how decisions are being performed by types of managers for the level of management. Moving forward, we also have types of evidences that improve predictability. So as I had said a while ago, when we say problem solving and decision making, it has to be based on evidences. And what are these? We have here 4 types of evidences that can improve predictability. The first one is, of course, we have facts. When we say facts, they represent actual occurrences that can be verified, and it includes empirical and historical evidences or evidence. And of course, just by the name itself, if it is a fact, it has to be something that is true. It must not be manipulated. It must not be tampered information or data. And of course, it is some examples of this are the scientific facts, which can be confirmed with repeatable experiments, implying accurate prediction as a source or good example, okay, of this particular type of evidence. Another one is statistical evidence. So statistical correlation forms the basis for providing evidence of causality from the root word cause. What caused a particular problem or concern? Okay, but this one doesn't prove it. So in complex systems, there are many factors that may contribute to specific effects. And establish the causal relationship. It could be necessary, it could be sufficient, or contributory. Another kind of evidence is anecdotal, from the word anecdote. Anecdotes, due to small sample size, are frequently not representative of typical experience. So anecdotal evidence can indicate something is possible, but it will not establish likelihood of success. It is often used due to lack of other evidences. And of course, we have also analogical evidence, analogy, if you are familiar with that. This is a weak form of evidence that suggests something true about one thing is also true of another due to similarity. So we are talking here about similarities of, let's say, evidences, right? Moving forward, the next slide shows, okay, now we are into decision making and management information system. So when we say management information system, Sir Davis discussed this last week. It is a flow processing procedures based on computer data and integrated with other procedures in order to provide information in a timely and effective manner to support decision making and other management functions. So we have here keywords: flow processing procedures, computer data. Another one, information, timely, effective, and we also have here management. Okay. It provides knowledge about the relative position of the organization and basic forces and work. So in here, the use of management information system will really aid or enable the decision makers to come up with a decision in a quick manner because the data and information are readily available. It provides the right information needed in this decision-making process and helps the organizational control, planning, and operational functions to be carried out effectively. There are still two characteristics of MIS, and this can be found in the next slide. We have the first one, can help you make better decisions by delivering all the information you need and by modeling the results of your decision. So in making a decision, there are times that we think like this. If I'm going to do this, if I am going to implement this, what will happen? Or if you can imagine, we have this term mind modeling. A situation is present and then there are possible solutions. These are what we call the alternatives in which we are going to choose from as to what course of action we are going to undertake. Now, in mind modeling, you will imagine what are the possible consequences that will happen if you are going to choose course of action A. If you choose course of action B, what will also be the possible effect or consequences? When you have accurate, up-to-date information, you can make the choice with confidence, of course. And in business, management information systems, or IMS, or information management systems, are tools used to support processes, operations, intelligence, and information technology. MIS tools move data and manage information. MIS produce data-driven reports that help businesses make the right decisions at the right time, especially so if time is of the essence. With the advancement of technology, we can easily collaborate with people from other places. We can define time and distance with the use of technology, and the use of MIS will enable our decision makers, our managers, to really come up with the best solution in the shortest of time compared to if they're going to make use of manual gathering of data that we used to do. Moving forward, we also have the roles of management information systems in decision making. So MIS provides regular information to managers to make them decisions based on data rather than guesses. Yes, that's true. With the use of MIS, data or information are readily available, and because of that, our decision makers will tools. There are certain tools that can help our managers in making decisions. I'm not very particular about this, but I know that there are tools that they can make use of, and it can make sure the management information system be really effective, but they have to ensure that the MIS that they will choose is compatible with the program or the format of information that they're using in their company. So here, compatibility is the name of the game. Management information systems combine hardware, software, and network products in an integrated solution that provides managers with data in a format suitable for analysis, monitoring, decision-making, and reporting. In other words, the system collects data, stores it in a database, and makes it available to users over a secure network. Sir Davis mentioned before regarding how data is stored, whether it is in the cloud or it can be accessed by, let's say, a system that is maintained by an organization or a company itself. I'm not very particular with the term. Is it on-site, Sir Davis? The other type of way of storing data?
Yes, on site.
On-site, okay, so that's it. Alright, next we also have the importance of MIS in decision making. It can be summarized into 5. So all the things that I mentioned a while ago, they can be summarized into 5. The first one is rapid access to information. I said a while ago, we can have quick uh, making of decisions because we can rapidly access information. Managers need rapid access to information to make decisions about strategic, financial, marketing, and operational issues. A management information system simplifies and speeds up information retrieval by storing data in a central location that is accessible via a network. So this is what Sir Davis mentioned last week, that data can be stored and it can be accessed via a network. All you need is what do you call that one? An internet connectivity that is really fast, or that will not be making your computer with, how do we call that, naglalag. There are times that when we are using the internet, when we are downloading or uploading, there are times that the computer will seem to hang. It's because there is a problem with internet connectivity at times. The second, the importance of MIS in decision making is these decisions are based on latest information. Management information systems bring together data from inside and outside the organization. By setting up a network that links central database to retail outlets, distributors and members of a supply chain, companies can collect sales and production data daily. So if we will not be using MIS, then there will be really a difficulty in consolidating data, much more gathering data in the first place. Or frequently can make decisions based on the latest information. So that's based on latest information. Another one, teams can collaborate. In situations where decision making involves groups as well as individuals, MIS make it easy for teams to make collaborative decisions. In a project team, for example, management information systems enable all members to access the same essential data even if they're working in different locations, provided that there is this reliable internet connectivity. Okay, so especially now that we are in the time of the pandemic, that we cannot go places, let's say, as frequent as we want, because of course there are so many health and safety protocols. Now with the use of technology, with the use of MIS, we can have collaboration with other members, with other decision makers through virtual collaboration, the use of internet connectivity. And that means that teams can collaborate due to MIS. Another one, MIS enables us to interpret results efficiently. Management information systems help decision makers understand the implications of their decisions. In other words, the systems collate raw data into reports in a format that enables decision makers to quickly identify patterns and trends that would not have been obvious in the raw data. So here, probably they will be using tools, for example, statistical tools to analyze and interpret data. And another importance is the ease of presentation. The reporting tools within management information systems enable decision makers to tailor reports to the information needs of other parties. In other words, if a decision requires approval by a senior executive, the decision maker can create a brief executive summary for review. If managers want to share the detailed findings of a report with colleagues, they can create full reports and provide different levels of supplementary data. So this is very true if you are very well adept in using technology, in organizing data, in let's say using computer and other tools, other applications or software tools that can help you in organizing your data and, of course, in presenting them. So the use of MIS eases presentation. We also have, on the next slide, the different types of information systems that can be used in the different levels of management. So I said a while ago, there are 3 levels of management. We have the executive level, we have the middle level, and then we also have the operational. Now in here, it needs special consideration, insight, judgment, and evaluation. So information systems may not be effective for all time. Despite of that, the decision maker can use ESS. So ESS refers to Executive Support System. At times, it is also called Executive Information System. These are being used by the higher types of the managers. We have the executive level or the top management. For being a two-way decision, 2 different information systems are used for decision making. Here we are on the middle level management. These are the MIS or Management Information System used for structured decision making. And as for non-structured decision making, we have the DSS. Okay. It works with daily affairs or transactions. So it uses TPS. When we say TPS, this is for operational managers. TPS stands for Transaction Processing System, where such data such as credit, receipts, sales, and labor works are recorded. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So these are the information systems, the one that I've been discussing. The types of decisions, the types or the level of management, and then we also have the information system. So in the senior manager level, managerial level, we have the ESS, as I mentioned a while ago. For the middle managers, we have the MIS and the DSS, or the Decision Support System. And for the operational, we have the TPS, or the Transaction Processing System. Okay. So let us move now to the next slide. We have here, it says, by reminding us to briefly stop and ask what has to be decided, for example, in business, if it is a business problem or issue, we have to identify who is involved and what the desired outcome is. Evidence-based management helps us to fully grasp the decision situation even under stress and evaluate different sources of evidence critically before making a decision. So we really have to make use of the gathered data and information, and this serves as evidences, and once being analyzed, evaluated, carefully studied, then we will come up with alternative solutions in order for us to choose the best solution. Okay, so moving on, we have here a quotation from, or a quote from Charles Duhigg. Between calculated risk and reckless decision making lies the dividing line between profit and loss. In other words, we really have to be very careful in making decisions because we can either go on the positive, which is for profit, or on the negative, which is loss. Now, in our local context, for example, in our educational system, it can be either in productivity and efficiency or non-productivity and being, let's say, not so effective member of an organization. So with that, I would like to say thank you so much for listening and God bless us all.
Alright, thank you very much, Ma'am Evelyn. So let us give our 3 speakers virtual claps. Very good job.
Thank you.
So at this time, we will address everyone's question, concern, add-ons, because we will move on to our open forum. If you have questions, you may type them in our chat box and our speakers will answer them. Sir, do you have any additional thought before we entertain questions?
I will just add some remarks after each question is answered.
Yes,
So,
sir.
all the time to answer the questions, and anybody, even the non-presenters, can answer the question. Okay?
Yes, sir.
It's open for everybody.
Yes, sir. So, while waiting for questions, we would like to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you to Thailand-based students. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share. We hope that you were filled with information regarding space problem solving and decision making using SIS.
Okay?
So far, there's no question pa po sa ating chat box.
I have a question. So,
Yes, ma'am.
so any speakers can answer for this question. My question is, sometimes we have decision dilemma in our workplace. So, for example, for instance, you were ordered to change, for example, the result of the student assessment by your supervisor. So, how would you respond if you were the principal involved in that scenario? Thank you.
Okay, so may I give my idea for the question of Ma'am Angeline? So the situation is, your supervisor wants you, being a principal, change the result of the assessment. Right, Ma'am Angeline? And then you ask,
Like
what?
that? Yes, okay, go on.
School head, as the school head, now what will you do? That's the question. For me, probably, I will ask first the reason why there's a need for a change in the result. Because we are talking here about data and information which can be used as basis for decision making, right? So, what could be the possible reason why the result should be changed before it has to be submitted? Because we know that reports, data, or information prepared at the school level goes up to the higher levels and submitted to the central office. Mostly, that's the case. Now, what could be the possible reason why that particular student assessment result needs to be changed? Okay. Though I know that probably my supervisor will say, obey first before you complain, right? Because we have heads like that. Okay, but still, we have to know the reason why. And then, of course, I will, after knowing the reason, then probably I will have this, let's say, with that particular supervisor and discuss with him or her the possible implications or consequences of that particular action that will be done. Because of course, the reports submitted to me being a school head came from people who are under my supervision. And that particular report, they know the exact data, especially so if we gather those data using, nowadays we make use of technology. We no longer release printed materials wherein they have to indicate the number or the statistics, something like that. We make use of Google Forms. And those are being saved. There are times also that these forms have collaborators, meaning not only one person knows the information that are in that particular form. Therefore, changing the result, the overall result, once it reaches me, will be tampering the information or the data that are being in the position of those people under me who submitted the data. But in that case of Andrew, that really happens. Okay, so in my position, first I will ask my supervisor, why do I need to change the result? And then after knowing the after getting the answer, I will give my idea of possible implication of the action that he or she is asking me to do, the possible consequences, and the possible effect, if ever, those people under me who are holding the information think about the data or information being tampered before it was submitted to the higher office. So that's my answer.
May I manage?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there is a question on the validity, reliability, and integrity of records,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
there must be an investigation. Why the principal is now in doubt of the results of such assessment, so forth and so on. There must be an investigation, and there must be maybe maybe a retest or something like that, or just random sampling of what happened, so that we will know the real results of the assessments, why the assessment is being under question by the principal. The principal does not trust the teachers. Okay?
Sir, the point, sir, of Ma'am Angeline is, the school, the supervisor, let's say education program supervisor, that is division level already. The division supervisor wants the principal to change the data. Let's have a concrete example. For example,
That is unethical.
yes, sir. That's what I said. Yes.
It's unprofessional. Even in reading, you should do it in writing, and we will have to file a case against the supervisor, something
Yes,
like that.
So,
Let me express my position. In the academy, if you are in the university, okay, you cannot change any grade or any rating unless you pass it through the academic council and the reasons why you are changing the rating. That's individual only. It's an individual person, individual student. How much more with changing assessment results from starting school by the supervisor from a higher office. Okay? That the supervisor does not have even any authority in the school. The authority there is the principal. It's the highest authority. The relationship is that the principal is related directly to the superintendent, unless there are delegated authorities to the supervisors. Okay? Remember that. The relationship is in between the principal and the superintendent. Okay? So, it's very foolish. Why is supervisor want results. Oh my God, what's that? Huh? That's very unprofessional, unethical.
Yes.
Okay, you can go with this discussion. I just expressed myself.
Yes, sir. So we still have another question here
Yes,
from
ma'am.
Sir Ranul Pumila.
No. Who was that answered already?
Yes, sir. Answered already. Yes, sir.
Really?
Okay, ma'am. So I would like,
From Adeline.
Yes, sir. Yes.
this is Sir Nob. Sir, I would like to address this question to Ma'am Evelyn Mendoza, ma'am. In your experience as a manager, what is the best evidence in order to make a good decision making? So in your experience.
Okay, sir. So, as a department head for almost 6 years now, and I also handled various designations in managing or leading people. For me, based on the kinds of evidences that I presented a while ago, I can say that it is facts or facts and statistical evidences. Because when we say facts, of course, these are based on truths, okay? And of course, they are gathered from the field. And once they are being reflected as they are, then they can really lead to good decision making. If they are not tampered, if they are not being changed to portray that you are performing when actually you are not. So therefore, it has to be facts, sir. That would be the best evidence for decision making.
Okay, you mean statistical style of evidence, ma'am, right?
Yes, sir. So these facts, when put together and being analyzed, they become statistical evidences. And this can be treated using different tools or statistical tools also for interpretation. And once interpreted, this can be basis for decision making.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you for your question also, sir. We also have another question here from Ma'am Maria Sailin. What is the importance of the use of MIS now that the Philippines is facing the pandemic crisis, specifically in education department of our country? So as per observation and experience, Ma'am Sailin, we are making use now of reporting through the use of technology. We have already undergone series of surveys conducted by the central office, cascaded to the regional office, and then to the division, and then to us in the school level. Now, with the use of this particular management information system, we have this quick relaying of information through the different modes or modes of communication. We have these memorandums, or we also have these department orders that are being cascaded down to the lower offices through the different forms such as the group chat, and then of course we also have the info board or the information board or information bulletin board. Now, these particular modes of communication, whenever they ask us to give data through the survey, it is in the form of online survey. Therefore, once we accomplish the online form, the data that we have indicated there will go directly. So there is this speed of gathering data, because once you submitted your response, then automatically it will be stored in the file of the person who created that particular form through Google. We have the online form through Google. And of course, we can also enable people to see the result or the flow or the incoming data if they are being made as collaborators. Of course, if you are using Google Form, you know how this is, what I'm talking about, that once you want another person to know or to view or even to edit the information, you can add a particular person through making him or her as collaborator of the file or the survey form through
personal question.
Yes, Ma'am Cyril?
Do you trust the data now from the DOH that they are giving in specifically in the Department of Education? Do you trust all the data that they are showing to the media? Do you trust personally, Ma'am Evelyn?
I think I think those data are presumed to be accurate unless proven otherwise.
Okay po.
Okay. So if ever there will be questions, for example, let's say regarding education, for example, right?
Yes,
Specific,
ma'am.
specific, for example, you want to know the number of teachers in the department, the number of teachers, public or private, who were already inflicted with the virus, for instance. Okay, so of course there will be reports from the different agencies, from DOH, for instance, if these particular teachers have undergone medical treatment, of course there will be medical records in the hospitals. Even in our locality, we have this daily monitoring of our cases, whether they are under strict home quarantine, whether they are in the LEU isolation facility, whether they are admitted. We have daily reports on that. So, as what I have said, probably I will believe on those data because they are presumed to be accurate or correct unless they are proven otherwise.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay. Thank you.
Again,
Yes, sir.
granting that these are true and correct and accurate, how about the law on privacy? Say, for example, doctor and patient relationship. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to publish the names of teachers who were infected or infected with coronavirus?
Sir, I think the names are not necessary because we also have this kind of, we have this what you call the law of privacy, right?
Yes.
But for example, if it concerns national security, then probably in order for the people to be cautious, especially so for those who are asymptomatic, because when they say asymptomatic, they look healthy. They seem to be healthy when in fact they are already infected with the virus. So here in our case, we are informed. We know who these people are, so that we can make the necessary precautionary measures. And anyway, there's a problem regarding that one because these particular teachers report their situations to their higher ups, and then upon knowing that these particular teachers were already subjected to strict home quarantine, or they were no longer required to report, not only for the required time, for example, a duration of 2 weeks, but even extended for 1 week. In fact, we already have 2 cases here of COVID. We already have 2 teachers, 2 of them already died. Dead, sir. And then we also have some who are who are admitted, and some are under strict home quarantine. And we know who they are, so that we can have these precautionary measures as to who their possible close contacts are. And even those possible close contacts, we also make this particular precautionary measures. They are no longer asked to report to the school. They are under let's say isolation or home quarantine, and they are being guarded also. We are very strict here because we have already experienced this particular problem regarding this case. We already lost 2 of our colleagues.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, pa.
Thank
We
you.
have question from Sir Davis. Which area in the problem-solving cycle is the most difficult, or where you see many fail and why? So let's go back to problem-solving cycle. Problem-solving, the 7 stages. We have identifying the problem. We have understanding, organizing the information, allocating resources, constant monitoring, checking, and evaluation. Probably it need to constantly monitor the progress. We have to keep track of the progress. If possible, we have to make use of instruments that are available. For example, we have the Gantt chart. We have to record the processes, the progress of each particular cycle in the program if we are implementing a program. What if the so we have to look into our objectives. If we are meeting the objectives, because when we implement a certain program, of course we have these objectives in mind. And as we go through the process in the implementation of the program, we have to look into the attainment of our goal or objectives in the particular implementation. So it's on the checking and monitoring. Because if we fail in this, then it's either the program or the project will not succeed. And there are times also that in the implementation, there are other problems that may crop up, or there are other problems that need to be solved immediately. Therefore, we have to make corrective actions. It's either we pursue with the project, or we have to modify it a little in order to attain our goal or objective. I hope I
These
answered your
answers
question, Sir
naman ba?
Davis.
Short,
Just
open,
wanted to confirm.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. I think in terms of implementation,
Yes.
especially if we don't try to what do you call this one, empathize with the people who are actually having the one that's causing the problem, or
Yes.
the ones that who are dealing with the problem. Sometimes in the implementation phase, a lot of people fail, a lot of people give up. I think, and I do agree with you that when you said that implementation is one of the most critical, because a lot of people give up here, or a lot of people, complain or doesn't fall through with the solution or decision that we've come up.
Yes, sir. Actually, that's a personal experience already. We implemented this so-called program to solve waste management problem in the school. So we really have to exert effort because a lot of persons, a lot of people have to be involved. You have to create committees to oversee every aspect of the program. Now, if there are members of the committee who are not that committed and dedicated to implement the program, then there really is a problem in the implementation. There are some who does it seriously, you can count on them, but there are also those who just work for compliance. Because when we implemented this particular program, we tapped even the utility workers, the security guards, the department heads in other subject areas, the teachers, the students. Almost every member of the school population is being tapped. But as we went along the way, yes, I can relate to what you have said, that it is in the implementation that we have this particular problem, because there are those people who seem to be cooperative at the start, but as the program went on, some probably they really do not have in their heart the desire to solve the problem.
Everybody,
Yes, sir.
everybody.
Yes, sir.
Question is very critical
Yes.
because it says there, he is asking, what's the most difficult uh, stage or step? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, it all depends upon the situation. Okay? Say, for example, if from the very beginning, in the identification of the problem, you cannot identify it because you don't have data, you don't have resources, you don't have necessary information, you don't have people as resources. You will have a difficult time identifying the problem. See, for example, looking at the situation appraisal, you are going to appraise the situation. If you will follow the Kipner and Trigo rational decision-making system, okay, the first step is situation appraisal. You should know the situation. Is the manager or the leader knowledgeable of the situation? Is he given the right information? Does he have the data? Okay? And it is very difficult on his part if he does not have this. If he has all this, then he can identify the problem. And what is the problem? The problem is always a gap between what is and what ought to be.
Yes.
Okay? What it is now and what ought to be now. Why? Why? Why is there a difference? Say, for example, I'll give you, this is just for discussion purposes only. You are supposed to be 46 or 25, and you are only 14. Okay? There is a gap. Now, let us identify, we have already identified the gap, because 24 minus 14 is 10. There's 10 missing.
Yes.
Okay? That is not the problem. But the real problem is, what is the cause of the problem? Why is there a cause? Why are these students not coming? That is my problem. Okay? I don't know the cause. I don't have the data. I don't have the information.
Already going.
I cannot make a decision unless I have
Yes.
the data and information. I don't have it. Granting that I have it. Okay?
Oh, no excuse letter. I'm just kidding.
Okay, that I have the data and information, okay? Now, is it a problem?
Yes, of course, sir. It is.
I don't consider it a problem.
Why not?
Problem,
Okay.
okay? If I don't consider it a problem, there's no problem. Suppose your husband comes home 8 o'clock at night every night, daily. And then comes another night, he comes home 10 o'clock. Then another night, he comes home 12 o'clock. Okay? And you know it. You notice it. But you don't give a damn on it. There's no problem. But if you are bothered,
Exactly.
if you are bothered, okay, and you are concerned, there must be a problem. There is a gap. You can see the gap because the last months he was coming home every night regularly, so forth and so on. And why this month? Why is your husband so irregular? He coming home and then he's smelling something there or
Problem, sir. A very big problem like that.
if you consider it a problem, it's really a problem.
Yes.
If you don't consider it a problem, nothing. That's why we have identification of the problem.
Oh, just ignore the
Because
problem.
There are so-called problems which can be solved immediately without even analysis. Even without any analysis, even without any data information, you can solve it immediately. Okay, suppose your child needs money, so forth and so on, okay. And then he's going to Manila somewhere to continue his studies, so forth, so for enrollment. Okay, that is a problem, but you have money. Okay, you can go to the ATM and then withdraw immediately, and then this problem solved. No more. Okay? Why analyze it? There's no more analysis. Okay? These are what we call, you said about routine problems. Routine problems. In management, there are routine problems. Routine problems are solved by referring to the policy. We have policies. Policies are not rules. These are guidelines for decision making. Policies are guidelines because they have a range of options for you to choose from. The range of options. That's why you are given the liberty, the freedom to use your brain, to use your creativity, to use your critical thinking. If problems does not need, if any problem does not need a critical thinking in something like that, then there's not a problem. Okay? You just follow the rule, then take any action. You can take any action. These are regular actions. Okay? But if you really look at the problem, okay, and there is a gap between what is and what ought to be, you must know what causes the gap. And because these are not known, you will go to research, you say research. Okay? And you must have to supply the hypothesis. These hypotheses are what we call the generated alternatives. Alternative 1, alternative 2, alternative 3, alternative 4, so forth and so on. But when you select, okay, that is one of the most difficult thing, because you are now going to make a choice based on your intellect, based on your background, based on your experiences, enlightenment, values, even values. You consider your values. You are going to make a decision to select. And when you select, there is what we call a range of certainties, uncertainties, and risks. Any decision that you make, there will always be a risk. Okay? And you must have to make more of what is certain. What are the certainties? What are the risks? What are the uncertainties? You must have to what we call a calculated risk, so that you can make the decision. And when you make the decision, you know what will happen to your people, you know what will happen to your position. You might even lose your position if you make the decision because of your accountability. Okay? These are major decisions that you are going to make if you are really a leader or a manager. Okay? Because you are there, paid by the corporation or by the government to decide. If you cannot decide, go out. You do not deserve to be there. Because that is your work. That's your work.
Wait na lang ako, sir.
Huh? That's your work as a manager. Okay? So, you make the decision. You know what will happen after your decision. These are what we call program. You can program what will happen because you know you have already what we call, these are what we call potential problems that will happen. Suppose there are things that will happen outside of those. You must have your contingencies. Your contingencies, one of your contingencies is resignation. Because you are going to fail. That's why.
So you have to pay the consequence.
Okay? Or your one contingency is to go to jail. If you are in government. Okay? I just give you the consequences. Okay, I just give you the areas by which you can explore decision making, problem solving, and decision making. Very simply, according to Kipner and Trigo, I wasn't able to give you this. Kipner and Trigo are authors of rational decision making. When we say rational, this is logical, justifiable, so forth and so on, based on intelligent guesses, so forth and so on. Just remember, sa pa, dapa. Sa is situation appraisal. Okay? Pa is problem analysis. D is decision analysis. PPA is potential problem analysis. If you go from number 1 to number 2 and there's no problem, stop there, no more. Do not go to decision analysis. Because there's no decision to be analyzed. You can decide immediately. But if you don't have enough data and information, so forth and so on, and there is uncertainty, you go to decision analysis, select the best choice, best alternative. And when you select the best alternative, you should know the consequences of your decision in the future. Okay? And there is what we call program and program. Program is that you know that these things will happen. But a program is that you don't know that these things will happen and what will happen to you. resignation, dismissal, or even going to jail. Okay? I hope I have given you some kind of idea.
Sir, I do have a little bit of an addition which might lead to a question, if I may.
Okay.
There was, I think, to kind of like add to what you have said, sir, na minsan we might actually not see the problem, but other people see it as a problem. Just like what one of the presenters was saying, you know, there are many ways to see an elephant. Some see the elephant from the trunk, face to face. Some see the elephant from the back, seeing the butt and all its glory. Some see it, you know, on the sides and see the whole length of the elephant. So I think it's also the same with problems. No? We see problems in different ways. Some problems we actually identify as problems, but some problems, although it's a problem for people, for some it's not really a problem. And I'm also curious, like what from what Mom Evelyn has shared a while ago about the problem that her superiors have told her with regards to the beautification of their school. I don't know if that was a real problem that they needed to solve, or was that only a request that that her superiors wanted to ask her to do, and she went through all the lengths to make them happy with all that she did. Because I was wondering, did they actually identify that as a problem, or again, if that was just something that they wanted to do because they notice it, but not necessarily that it was causing a problem for the school.
Ma'am Evelyn, you can go back to your definition of what is a problem. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because you go back to your definition.
Okay, so the fact that the school superintendent came back to the school.
No, what is a problem? What is a problem?
So it is something that has to be given a solution from alternative.
No, that's not. That's not.
Ano the problem mo kay Lagosan?
No, what is a problem?
The problem, as being mentioned a while ago, is regarding school improvement in the form of beautification of the gardens.
No. I'm looking at the definition of the problem. The definition of the problem is that you are meeting difficulty, okay?
Yes, sir.
Meeting hardship, okay?
Yes, it is a difficulty that needs a solution.
There's something that you don't know.
Yes.
Is a sure matter you want to understand, sir.
Yes. Now, you know that there is a garden. There's it has to be improved.
Yes.
Is that a managerial problem?
Yes, sir, in the sense that we were given our areas for schools to be maintained.
Yes, you are given the area.
Yes, sir.
It's not a managerial problem.
I think, sir, because I lead the department.
So, is there something to decide on?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
So upon the...
Is there a choice? Do you have a choice? Yeah, because you are going to have a range of choices, alternatives. You are going to generate choices because you have a problem to solve. You are going to generate alternatives or choices, and you are going to make a choice from one of those alternatives. Okay?
Yes.
So, you consider that a problem.
On my part, sir, I consider it as a problem because our superintendent came back to the school several times and met with us, department
Is there a gap? Is there a gap between what is and what ought to be?
Yes, sir.
Is that within the plan? Is that within the plan? Why there is a monitoring by you say you have observed that there is a gap between what is and what ought to be.
Yes, sir.
Is that so?
In my belief, sir. Because because
I'm asking you now, is that a managerial problem? What is a manager? Now, you go back again to management. Who is a manager? Who is a leader? Okay. You can go back to the role of the manager. Because the role of the manager is decide. And if there is no problem, there's no generation of alternatives. There's no choice. So if you don't have a choice, there's no problem. The choice is already there. It's already given. This thing that you are going to do is already given there. You know what to do. Alam mo na ang gagawin mo kasi sinabi na eh. Kung manager ka, mayroon kang range of options. Because there is a problem. Mag-generate ka ng alternatives para makapagpili ng choice. You are going to have a choice. And make a decision. That is decision making. If there is no choice between two or more alternatives, it's not really a problem. It's not a decision making thing. You're just implementing something which is given from above. Given from an authority. Like a military or a police or any bureaucratic system. Okay? They take your notes. Okay, that's the beginning of learning. That's what you have a problem. Okay.
Actually, sir, the action that we made was not given by our superior. It was presented in such a way that the situation is you have to make the name of your school stand up to its name. You have to make your school stand up to its name. So that's the situation. And then of course,
What's the problem?
sir,
Define again what is a problem and then relate that to a problem. Relate that to
Yes,
decision
sir.
making.
okay, I got your point, sir.
Huh? Do you get the point now?
Yes, sir, I got
It's
your
not a problem because it's given. It's already given. Parang maligo ka, hoy, maligo ka dyan. Wala na. Wala na. Ano ba sasabihin mo? Kasi di pa ako na, kapaligo ka. Sinabi ng maligo ka. Diba?
yes.
So, we are talking about managerial problems. We are now in organization and management. We are in communication systems. Management, communication systems. It's all about management. Okay? And there are certain areas in the bureaucracy wherein there is no question thing about it. You just follow. And that is the rule. You follow the rule unquestionably. Okay? First is that you must have to follow rule number 1. Second, if the principal or the head is wrong, you follow still number 1. Because that is the rule. That's the rule. Okay? It's not a policy. Policy is different, especially in private business. Because in private business, their policy is really a guideline. It's just a guideline. The manager or leader is given the freedom to have creativity, critical thinking, so forth and so on. David, you want to say something?
Sir, I do have, I'm not sure if this is a question or I just want to maybe learn something from you or from everybody here. Because I think everybody has experienced this, that, our superiors have, given us some instruction or have made decisions, sometimes decisions that we don't agree, and sometimes decisions that we agree but other people don't agree. I am curious as to how relationships play a role, because as to my understanding, as subordinates to our superiors or managers, I'm not sure if this is written in your job descriptions, but it is surely written in my job description that I can contribute to the decision making or to the planning or to the whatever it is that is going on. I can contribute to that. I can add, I can suggest, I can voice my opinion. But whatever decision comes out after that, regardless of my own opinion or my own idea or what I think about that decision, I have to support it. No? And sometimes it's difficult to support it because it's not something that I don't want or something that I decide. And sometimes it's easy to support the decision because it's something that I have contributed to. So I'm curious as to how relationships or working relationships play a role in making it easier or making it difficult to implement that decision.
Okay, I will answer that. Will you give me the time to answer that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, it all depends upon the situation. Leadership and managership. Leadership is different from managership. Remember that. Because managership is management. Leadership is management plus. It's management plus. Because management is more of the routine, but leadership is something that's different. Doing the right thing, okay? Doing things right, okay? Doing things right, management. Doing the right thing, leadership. Okay? Now, in good governance, especially in government, we have what we call participation. Participative governance. Meaning to say that each of you, when in government, should be given the opportunity to participate in decision making, especially in planning, monitoring, so forth and so on. Okay? Now, what is the limit? The limit of your participation is mostly before the decision is made. Okay? Before the decision is made, you might be given the opportunity to express what you think about the problem. Because you're going to contribute. Okay? But when the decision maker says, I am going to make the decision tonight and I will have it tomorrow, announced in a memorandum, so forth and so on, okay, there's no question anymore. Because you have participated already. Okay? You have participated already in the decision making. Now, he is now the accountable officer. And if he makes wrong, if the decision is wrong, he is accountable. Okay? That's why we have what we call transparency. Transparency in the process. In the process of decision making, you should be transparent. You should listen to people, call people as resources so that you can have the best data and information before you make a decision. But when you make a decision, especially in government, okay, if you make a decision in government, that's yours. It's your accountability. Nobody will answer for that except you. That's why we have what we call accountability. If you are an accountable officer, you are a decision maker because you are an accountable officer. Okay? Now, you said participation. When you participate in the decision making, and you said, Ma'am Evelyn, that there is consensus, you own the decision. Meaning You say you are a part and parcel of the decision. Do not question anymore because you participated, you own it. You participated even in the consensus because consensus is more than majority. Majority rule is different from consensus. Consensus means that you convince everybody about the idea. Everybody is convinced that that is the best idea. You arrive at what we call a consensus. Japanese type of management, decision making. Consensus type. Mahirap, matagal yan. Pero pinag-aaralan talaga. Ngayon, pag dumating na kayo sa consensus, hindi kayo magbuboto. It's not vote. It is only the understanding that you agree with the decision. And if you agree with the decision because of your enlightenment, okay, you are enlightened about the case, you are enlightened about the situation, you are enlightened about the future, especially the vision, support, and so on. And therefore, you are a part of the decision. And if you are a part of the decision, no way you cannot question that anymore because you participated. You are a part and parcel of the decision. Okay, so you must have to be happy because the decision is there and it will be implemented. And if you own it, everybody will be happy to implement the decision. They are going to implement it. And they will see how fruitful is their participation. Okay? That's why we have what we call consensus. In other organizations, it's dictatorial or very authoritative, that's different, bureaucratic. Okay? When we go to government, especially in the Philippines or other areas, other governments, we have always contend. We have to contend with bureaucracy. What is bureaucracy? Although bureaucracy is very beautiful, however, it can always be made very difficult. It can be made corrupt. Something like that. Okay? So, if you are a part and parcel of the decision, Davis, if you are a part and parcel of the decision, then you should be happy about it. You are very willing to implement it. You look forward that this will give fruit. Okay? That it will attain your goal and objectives. Personal and organizational. Self-fulfillment as your personal career, professional career, and organizational goals as far as the organization is concerned. You made the organization prosper and grow, and you derive self-fulfillment, self-esteem, because you participated in the success of the organization. Okay?
Thank you, sir. This question, sir. For the past few months, I've been asked by our senior leadership relationships with the people under me, as they think that is critical to becoming or leading these people. But I've also heard that being too close, having that type relationship with your maybe more than just working relationship can also affect some of the decisions that you make, because sometimes it is now being clouded because certain people, certain friends would be affected by the decision, and sometimes it becomes too personal for for certain people. Maybe this is not a question that I should ask here, but I am willing to learn, how to build relationships with.
Anyway, this is academic. don't worry. Well, this is academic. We need to say, this is only for academic purposes. Okay? After this discussion, no more. Just the